welcome to my channel. Well, we have another awesome thing that Toby and family sent me, and it's this Crossman American Classic 177 caliber. What I like about it is it's a pneumatic air instead of a spring piston, so the more you pump it, the maximum they say is up to 10 pumps. The more you pump it, the more velocity you get. So usually if you've got a spring piston air pistol or a CO2 or something, it's usually going to be like 500 feet per second or so at minimum. And indoors, that's just more velocity than you really need. I mean, just to shoot. Now, the manual recommends not to do a one pump because the pellet could stick in the bore. I've done one pump and it doesn't do that. It goes out with no problem. So they're just being overly cautious on that, but go ahead and follow, their instructions. And you can get up to 700 feet per second, which is pretty good. Now, it shows the basis of operation, the different parts and everything. And we'll go over those. But it basically weighs 2 pounds. It's 13.6 inches long. It's a fixed blade front sight and adjustable rear sight, cross bolt safety, and then this is the velocity that you could get up to it. Comes with these little pellets, or this one did. And yeah, so besides the gun, he also sent a pellet trap, which is a pretty cool thing. It's just basically like a piece of angle iron. It has a base on it, and then the metal to funnel it in. And there's these little, you can hear pellets drop. I've been blasting away. You can slide these targets in and out. And then the green stickers are just something that I had because, to give it a little bit more visibility. Now, it comes with a big stack of targets that you can slide in there. You got like this color or these types. This is what I was using to try to sight it in. Because when I originally got it, it was shooting a little bit low and to the right. Now, the box that it comes in also has a little, cardboard you can cut out and backing that you can put into it and everything. Yeah, so let's get down to the method of operations. All right, so if you see over here, I don't know if it can show up very well because let me go into zoom in mode. All right, we got a little bit. It's unloaded. Now, this one's been fired. So what I usually do after I've fired it is I push this thing over to safe. I come back here, you got a little a bolt that you can pull back. Now when you pull back, you're going to feel some tension, and that's because it's resetting this trigger. It's doing a trigger reset. All right, here's all some smashed pellets. You don't want to reuse these, but they just fell out of the pellet trap when I was moving it around. You put a pellet in there. Let me get a pellet. And these things are powerful enough that, they're not a toy. They keep saying on it, this is not a toy. It just depends on the age you grew up in, because I didn't have one of these, but I had a BB gun, a Daisy BB gun, like the Red Ryder type. And then we also had a Crossman air pistol, but it was CO2. You had to have the little CO2 cartridges in the base. All right, I just dropped that guy and mixed him up with the other ones. All right, so you got a little pellet, and this thing's got a little guide on it and everything. So you just drop your pellet in there properly. Get back. And then this thing will grab the base of it. Trying to get it focused. It'll grab the base of it and guide it in. And then you just click down. There's no super latch to it or anything. And then it's still unsafe. you go ahead and give it like I said, this is a spring piston thing, so you bring it all the way out, and then you're not meeting the resistance till right about now. Now it says you should do 2 pumps or so at the minimum, but I'm just going to do 1. I'm going to fire this. Let's see if I can shoot through the lens. Camera blurred. I had the safety on. I was wondering why that trigger pressure was so strong. Safety off. 2 pumps. A Daisy air pistol. Line that side up, puppy. Try to zoom in. Hit the wrong button. Now focus. Focus. There it is. A little low and to the right. But I was holding it with one hand. And yeah. So there you go. That's a nice little pellet trap there too. They just fired it into the pellet trap on the ground just to clear it. Alright, so what I do after firing it is I immediately push on safe. You can see the thing goes up. And then when you cock this, and you pull it back, this is the way you should store it, is unfire, you know, no spring tension, unfired, all that. When you cock that, I think it resets the trigger, because you can feel some tension that's no longer there once you do that. And then, once again, pump and fire. Now, my issue was it was shooting low and to the left. So, I just used a knife, one of those knife nail nick tools, you know. I use it as my little wedge. It worked perfectly as a little common screwdriver. And if you can see these little notches here, I don't know if it's going to show that very well. You see that? It's got the center right there, and then there's another little notch here. And on sights, you're going to move your point of impact. You can move your sights where you want your point of impact to go. So if it's shooting low and to the left, you want to move the target to the right and up. I mean, you know, the sights to the right and up. So this is just windage right here. Left and right is all it does. And when I loosened this and moved it, it should be a dovetailed thing, but it kind of almost feels like this is the pivot point, which is not right. I'm not sure about that, but it worked anyway. And in the rear sight, let me see if I can get this camera up higher and get it to focus. Focus, you bonehead. All right, focus on this right here. Doesn't want to do it. The barrel is so long, it's hard for me to pivot it up. But you have a notch rear sight here or a peep. You can undo this. And this is a Phillips head screwdriver, but I just turned my, you know, pry bar tool sideways and used it to grab one side and did that. And because it was shooting low, I just moved this up. It's pretty crude, you know, but it works. It also has like a stenciled in, you know, serial number, even though this is not a firearm. This is an air pistol. And it has, all this is plastic hardware here, but there's nice little finger swells or thumb swells, wherever, that your hand just rests right in. And my only complaint is that front side is black and the rear side is black. Now, this is plastic housing over here. If it were metal, what I would do is just scrape some of that paint off, like I did on my Rough Rider Heritage. I just had bare metal up here, and man, that makes them sights stand out. But when you've got black on black, and you've got poor eyesight like I have, it helps. So what I'm probably going to do is just add a white, some white paint up here just to make the front sight stand out, because that's all you need. And then it's just a lot of fun. From my chair, I can just sit there. I have the target pellet trap set not far away. It's only like about 6 feet or so. But you still have to go through all the motions of gun handling, you know. Point it in a safe direction, beware of your backdrop and all that. But then steadying a pistol and pulling on the trigger. Now the trigger itself, there's a little bit of take up, and then I don't have a trigger pull gauge, but I'd guess it would be in the neighborhood of like 8 or 9 pounds of pressure to pull. And it kind of like, it's not a real smooth pull. You feel kind of like a little take up, and then it releases. It's not bad, I mean, for what it is and everything. But you can have a lot of fun with one of these, man, because they're just a great. Like I said, a neighbor of mine had one of these. He had a pellet rifle, and one of these that pumped up. I thought it was Daisy, but it might have been Crossman. And it was variable power, so they like to pump them up as maximum, as much as they could. They could shoot BBs also, but most of the time, I don't know what they were shooting in theirs. Like I said, I had a BB gun, a Crossman BB gun, CO2 type, that we could use once in a while whenever we get those cartridges. And that's a good thing about these, is they require nothing but the pellets. Nothing but the pellets. And these, believe me, a 177 caliber, now I've done some hunting with a 177 caliber air rifle, and it just dropped a rabbit. A rabbit was just sitting there in the field, and he stood up, you know how they do on their hind legs, and he was kind of looking around, and I shot him, I'd say from about like 30 yards away, which is pretty far with an air rifle, and boom, he dropped. It was an RWS Model 25, made in Germany air rifle. This was in the late 80s. And yeah, so it'll drop rabbit-sized game. And naturally a squirrel. I shot a squirrel with one before too. That's the story I told about when I was starving. We didn't have any meat. We'd been living off vegetables for a week, and I saw a squirrel in a tree, and I had my air rifle with me. I shot it, and I thought I missed because the squirrel didn't fall down right away. But then, you know, about a minute or so later, he fell down. I gutted him right there. I shot him through the heart. He just clung, you know, when they get shot, he just clung until his, you know, muscles relaxed when he died and fell down. But that was some great meat. I mean, if you ever get to the point where you're just on vegetables and everything, and you're used to a meat and stuff diet, man, don't overlook tree rats, man, squirrels. They are delicious. Or at least it was that. Man, we made some stew. After that, everything went better. We stopped. I got a raise, but we were living off. Me and my wife were living off $4 an hour, and yeah, it wasn't easy. So, anyways, there you go. A little story for you and everything. But yeah, if you can get one of these, man, and that's the thing about you know, skills and everything. You need to refine them. So here I am in an apartment. I've got a 22, you know, and a 38, but I can't fire those in here. The 22 I've fired with a CB blank, or a CB round with just primer, and it had so much power, I shot a piece of wood. It hit the wood, went in about half an inch, and bounced back and hit behind me. And so I thought, ooh, this is before I had the pellet trap or anything. But now this, I don't have to do that. But this, you can do that. So there you go. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.